Around me, for in the new life I shall rise up with God's grace and blessing. Look for me in a whirlwind or a storm. Look for me all around you, for with God's grace I shall come back with countless millions of black men and women who have died in America, those who have died in the West Indies, and those who have died in Africa. So ain't you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and right? Can we do it? We can do it. We shall do it.
A people robbed and spoiled, robbed of language, name, identity. The civilizers of the world and the cultivators of cultures has become the scorn and the downtrodden. The builders and the designers of megalithic monuments, aligning with the movements of the constellations, the astronomical clock. A people whose beginning is not known. Hundreds of thousands, millions of years into the past, attributed to their existence, but they were here before that. The melanated man and woman of the planet, black people, Africans, the ancient Ethiopian, the biblical Israelite, are the fathers and mothers of all other peoples. And because of such, they are considered, rightly so, the gods and goddesses of the earth. A people robbed and spoiled, taken into captivity from the land of their origin, and brought into different parts of the Western world as prisoners of war. Some refer to them as slaves, brought to servitude and serfdom. The original man, kidnapping and murder, rape and plunder, colonialization and sufferation, exploitation, apartheid, robbing and raping, murder and mayhem from the white men and the Arab clan.
Slavery, taking the black people into another land in ships, captivity. shackled and chained by their feet and by their wrists, and sometimes pulled by their neck.
Millions were kidnapped from the motherland. Millions perished in the Atlantic Ocean. Millions went to the Western world. We resisted the enemy from every angle. Rebellion in El Kebalan. Rebellion in the Western land. Rebellion in Antigua. Rebellion in St. Thomas. In Haiti we stood strong. Dessalines and Bookman, Toussaint. We destroyed Napoleon. And Spain and the British had to run. Sister Harriet Tubman and others secured our passage to a better life. Brother Nat Turner, Prince Class, Denmark VC, the Maroons in Jamaica, the Maroons in the Caribbean. We never gave up the fight. We never gave up resistance. We never ceased in rebellion to the hands of the wicked enslaver. Across the seas, Shaka and Nzinga and Ma Asantewa, Queen Nyabingi, and many others stood strong to fight against the pale face that was invading our territory and splitting our family apart. By the mid-1800s, the results of the harsh brutality upon our people was now very visible as generations have passed since the Africans were unwillingly plucked from their motherland. Third and fourth generations of quote-unquote slaves have become house Negroes, have become field hands, and many have lost an identity of themselves. We now spoke the language of our kidnapper. We now worshipped the God of our enslaver. We now carried the name of our new master. Our people robbed and spoiled. So the 1st of August 1834, in the island of Antigua, the slaves are released. The shackles and the chains come off of the hands, the feet, and the neck. 4 years after, in the rest of the Caribbean, the same thing takes place. In the 1860s, in the United States of America, the Emancipation Proclamation is signed, and it is Abraham Lincoln that is credited for releasing the slaves in that region. But I do dare say, they were not slaves prior to this. They were prisoners of war. But now that the shackles and chains are gone from the hand, feet, and neck, there were shackles and chains remaining on the brain. And now a brand new slave has been created. A one that you do not have to shackle with chains anymore, for he's totally dedicated to his master. A people robbed and spoiled.
Because if Negroes are created in God's image and Negroes are black, then God must in some sense be black.
Garvey, he had a great influence on people like Malcolm X and Kwame Nkrumah, which is the president of Ghana. I mean, Kwame Nkrumah read a book of Marcus Garvey already, and ideas of socialism became appealing to him. He was very much inspired by him.
What makes Marcus Mosiah Garvey so outstanding is that where many have tried prior to him to break the shackles and chains off of the mind of the people, no one has come and has done such a thorough job of waking up the Black nation internationally like Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Over 1 million official members of the UNIA, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and millions more across the international community who supported the Black Tiger. J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI had to organize and reorganize themselves to attack the greatest prophet to ever come from the womb of a woman. Mosiah Garvey took the beaten down black man and turned him into a royal soldier. He took the disappointed and destroyed black woman and rose her standard to that of an empress, the Black Cross nurses as well. From Jamaica to Harlem, and all over the United States, and even in Africa, the black man and the black woman was beginning to realize who they really were on the planet. We were regaining our pride once more. We were proud to be Africans again. And Africa was for the Africans at home and abroad. The black man was opening up businesses. Marcus Mosiah Garvey. The black man was buying ships. The Black Star Line. Marcus Mosiah Garvey. The black man was giving fiery lectures, speeches all over the nation. Marcus Mosiah Garvey challenging the establishment. Mosiah Garvey. The Negro World was established as an international newspaper, and children even in Africa would read the Negro World when it came to the shores and memorize it and run back to the interior and speak the words to the elders, because in colonial Africa you would be executed for reading the words of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. The Black Tiger. Cydonia on the planet Mars, the region that many scientists and even the mere observer would say has pyramids plus a face that many of us have come to realize resembles the face of the Olmec people, the face on Mars. Many of our own scholars has associated the face on Mars with the ancient Olmec head structure. Dr. Malachi York connected the face on Mars directly with the mask of Lord Pakal. In our previous DVD documentary, 7, which goes into the divinity of the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, we took time to go into not only the mask of Lord Pakal, but who Lord Packle is. Lord Packle was a great king of the Mayan Olmec people. Lord Packle himself was considered to be the physical manifestation of Quetzalcoatl or Quetzalcoatl, the feathered snake. Lord Packle, who some say came to the throne at the age of 9, some say 12, lived to be 80 years of age. And his tomb, his pyramid, and more so his mask, has become an object of in-depth conversation as it highlights many different mystics. But before we get into the mask, he's a feathered snake. What is a feathered snake? The feathered snake is a concept that is not unique to the Mayans at all. It is a concept from the creation of civilization itself. The flying serpent, the snake with wings. It is a cosmic concept that you find in all the ancient traditions, whether it be African, Asian, Oriental, or Mesoamerican. They all considered the snake with wings as the physical manifestation of the Creator on earth. Quetzalcoatl. This is why you see the medical symbol as the two snakes with the feathers extending out, also representing the Kundalini. This is why in the scripture, the Mosiah says, as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so shall I be lifted up, comparing himself to the reptile, to the serpent, as it is an ancient tradition. But as we explained in depth in the documentary 7, this is more than just tradition. This is solar science. We're dealing directly with the 11 to the 11.5-year sunspot cycle. Within the rotation of the electromagnetic field lines of the sun, the equator electromagnetic field line, as well as the polar electromagnetic field line. As the equator of the sun rotates once every 26 days, or 28 days as it appears from the earth, and the polar electrical field line rotates once every 37 days, or once every 40.5 days as it also appears from the earth. Within this cycle of rotation, every 87.5 days, the equator electrical field line collides with the polar electrical field lines. And as a result of this collision, underneath the surface of the sun, these field lines continue to entangle themselves and coil themselves until after a period of time, the energy becomes so strong and so entangled that it bursts from under the surface of the sun, creating what appears to us from this distance to be sunspots. So in the recognition of the solar flares and the solar storms and the solar winds, when the 11-year sunspot cycle is seen on a computer graph, the impression that it gives is as if it is a snake with feathers. The cycle of the sun is represented as the snake with wings. The ancient ones who had no computer graph whatsoever had the concept of the snake with wings. Not just the Mayans, we mean internationally, throughout history, from the beginning of civilization, at least as far back as we can go, and even up to your modern day religion, the God concept and the God figure continues to align themselves, Moses and Christ, with the snake. That is why the book of Malachi says that the sun, S-U-N, with a capital S, of righteousness shall rise, with healing in its wings. The sun and wings, in the same way that the snake and wings represent someone, because the sun in its cycle on a computer graph is seen as a snake with wings. So the ancient ones from the ancient times already comprehended the mechanics of the sun and the solar biology and astronomy in general and the physics of the planet Earth, where they could express in art form, in glyph form, a serpent with wings, and explain to those of us who would read their records that the snake with wings represents the Son of God, S-U-N-S-O-N, that is the Creator in a physical form. Lord Packer is a feathered snake. Lord Packer is an Olmec. The Olmec are the original people of the Western world. They are also referred to as the shy people. And it is obvious that they are similar to the people of Uganda. They are similar to the statues of the Buddha seen in the Oriental world. They are similar to the statues seen in Cambodia, Angkor Thom and Angkor Wat. The Olmec represents the original black man, and it's without a doubt that the Olmec looks exactly like Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Green as icy mountains of India's forest sky.
What is interesting about the Olmec is that the Olmec is considered to be the forerunner. Like the Olmec, Marcus Mosiah Garvey is he who comes and brings civilization to the people. It is he who civilized us, coming out of such a terror known as slavery. It is he that brought back the black pride to a nation once again. Up ye, mighty race. Africa for the Africans, at home and abroad. Mosiah Garvey. All of our conscious organizations in this modern time had their foundation in Marcus Mosiah Garvey and its movement. The Nation of Islam, the Nation of Gods and Earth, Nuwapians, Rastafari, even the consciousness exhibited in some black Christian conscious churches. Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the Hebrew Israelites, Marcus Mosiah Garvey influenced all of us and woke up a sleeping people to a higher standard of thinking. Marcus Garvey is one of the many Olmecs that fit the prophecy of the coming of the forerunner within its age and time. The Mask of Lord Packer, when properly decoded, gives this in detail. A transparent mirror copy of the mask is taken and connected to specific dots. When this is done, the image of the snake with wings appears, the feathered snake. And the individual that wore the mask, Lord Packer, is a feathered snake. In another expression, the image of a bat appears with a bead in its mouth, wherein the owner of the mask, Lord Packer, the mask has a bead in its mouth, showing that he is the bat with the bead in its mouth, wherein the bat is the animal symbol of the Olmec, and yet still the bat is considered to be the Mayan's equivalent to the Kemetic Anubis, the jackal. Anubis is connected to the Olmec. Then King Lord Packer's mask goes on to express three beings, of which we have expressed in much detail, again, in the documentary 7, the divinity of King Emmanuel Charles Edwards to be Tutankhamun, the boy king. Lord Packer himself is seen in this rendition, and the squatting Buddha as well. Three figures from the ancient world, all related to Maya, as Tutankhamun's wet nurse is Maya, and the builder of his necropolis is Maya as well, and the Buddha's mother's name is Maya, and Lord Packer being the king of the Mayan. All feathered snake, all Christ-like figures. Tutankhamun, Lord Packer both coming to the throne at the age of 9. But when this same rendition of the mask is basically turned upside down, three other figures appear, three faces to be precise. The outstanding face is that of the Olmec figure. The Olmec figure has a helmet on his head, which in the Olmec is the god of war, the Shaite Kotle that carries the sun on his back. This is why you see the Olmec head structure with the helmet on his head. The god of war. This Olmec in the second rendition of the mask is the Olmec in the first rendition of the mask. And the Olmec in the first rendition of the mask is the person that wore the mask. The first Olmec is Lord Packer. The second Olmec has in front of his face where the Buddha was, the Gautama Buddha, a man with locks and beard. And of course the Tutankhamun boy figure is gone. But an ancient man with beard and no locks is now in the center of the forehead, the third eye as such, of the Olmec with the helmet. The man with the locks and beard, the modern Buddha, is the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards. I will point you in the direction of our second official full-length documentary entitled Seven, the Divinity of the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, for more references on the subject area. And the man in the center of the helmet is Ketamawe Haile Selassie, the master of ceremonies, the divinity of Emperor Haile Selassie I. Garvey is the Lord Pakal of this time, the Olmec figure that is considered the forerunner. This is why he is considered a forerunner for even different organizations. The Moorish Temple consider him a forerunner. The Black Islamic groups consider him a forerunner. Rastafari see Marcus Mosiah Garvey as a forerunner. But not just a forerunner, but the literal fulfillment of the scripture of the book, speaking of one crying in the wilderness, making straight the way for the coming of the Lord. John the Baptist, according to the allegory, and fulfilled in the history several times, is the one that comes before the Messiah. It is he that says,